Welcome back to First and Gold. I'm your host, Sam Golden. Today we have a very special tier list, something we actually haven't done yet on the channel, which is ranking all 32 starting quarterbacks in the NFL. Now, I know we're a few months away from the actual start of the NFL season, so maybe a couple of these starters are different. Maybe there's an injury, who knows? But for now, in June, we are going to do these rankings. And we got our tier list set up here. We got superstar at the top, then very good, then decent, then meh, then why is he starting, and then at the bottom, just too early to tell because, you know, some of these guys are rookies, so I feel like it's kind of unfair to put them in a specific box right now. But here we go, all 32 quarterbacks. And right before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe, comment down below who your favorite quarterback is currently in the NFL. And yeah, here we go. All right, so let's start with Jordan Love, quarterback of the Packers. I'm going to go with very good, kind of similar to CJ Stroud, who we'll get to, where had a great 2023 season and took just a minor step back last year. Now, he did get injured in week 1, which maybe hindered him a little bit, but I think overall, you want to see a little bit more from Jordan Love in this upcoming season. He's definitely top 10 potential. I'd probably have him right outside of the top 10 for now, but really good arm talent and a good team around him, so I think that's the perfect tier to start with Jordan Love here. All right, Caleb Williams. Now, some would argue it's too early to tell because they had terrible coaching last year, which I completely agree with, and they've completely revamped the entire offense. They have a better offensive line. They have more weapons. Ben Johnson's now their head coach, coming from the Lions, of course, so things are looking good for Caleb Williams this season. But as of right now, since he hasn't played any more football, I'm going to go with meh. Now, that doesn't mean I actually think he's going to be meh. And there is such a wide range of outcomes for Caleb this season where he could honestly hit the top 10 if everything goes right at the end of the year. Or it can be a complete disaster and he just wasn't the guy everybody thought he was. But I'm going to give him a chance. I think he has a big shot to move up to decent or very good by the end of this season. So right now, I know it feels unfair for people that love Caleb, but I have to put him in meh just based off of one season. Next one, too early to tell, even though I'm also going to ask myself, why is he starting? Which is Tyler Shough. I think that's how you say his last name. Starting quarterback of the Saints, presumably. Now, it could be... Look, they could go out and get Kirk Cousins or something as well. It's still June, but it's between him and Spencer Rattler and Jake Haener right now. So, yeah, if we were doing just S through F, the quarterback room for the Saints is probably the worst in the NFL. Now, listen, nothing against Shough. The Saints were the ones that drafted him in the second round. Didn't agree with that pick at all. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he ends up being great. But, yeah, right now, it's fair just to put him in too early to tell. But, God, the Saints. I'm sorry, Saints fans, just in advance. All right, moving on. Baker Mayfield. Very good, and I'm putting him above Jordan Love. I think Baker Mayfield cemented himself as a top 10 quarterback this year. I'm a huge Baker lover. I mean, you go back, he had over 4,500 yards and 41 touchdowns last year. Now, I believe he might have been first or second in interceptions last year. But look, that's what comes with the gunslinger that Baker is. I love that he completely revived his career the last 2 years in Tampa. He got a bag of money. He's got a great offense going into this season. I think sneakily, we'll get to our full-on record predictions for every team in August, but I think sneakily, watch out for the Bucs to be in the NFC Championship game this year. And a big part of that is Baker. He has completely regained his confidence, and he is now one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. So yeah, I'm putting him probably at the top of very good. All right, next up is Michael Penix. I feel like you got to put him in the same boat as Caleb. He only just played, like 3 games last year, but I got to be honest, if I'm really projecting, I think Michael Penix is going to be great. I am a big believer in this guy. I think, once again, gunslinger. He's got a rocket arm. And I think with the offense that they're going to have this year, he is not going to be afraid to take chances. And the Falcons are finally, for the first time, what it seems like since Matt Ryan won MVP, they might actually be super fun to watch again. And I think it starts with Penix. We'll see, though. I have to put him in meh just because he's only played 3 games. But just know, if you're watching this full video, I have high hopes for Michael Penix. All right. And yes, I actually am going to put him right above Caleb because no matter what, I actually do think Michael Penix can be better. That's just my personal opinion. Okay, Dak Prescott. When things are going well, Dak Prescott is 100% very good and could be considered a top 10 quarterback. Now, do I think the Cowboys overall are going to be that good this year? I'm not sure. I think they're going to be okay. I do think Dak Prescott, though, gets way too much hate, and he deserves to be very good. And actually, it's like him and Jordan Love are right next to each other. Now, Dak has more experience, of course. He's won a couple playoff games. He's been to the playoffs a bunch of times. They had those 3 straight seasons where they went 12-5. Everybody forgets about that because they had such a disaster last year. But overall, I do think Dak is hated on. Would I rather have him or Jordan Love right now? Super close. So I think very good is going to be the tier that I put Dak. All right. Jayden Daniels. Do I do it, guys? Do I put him in superstar? Here's the thing. I think there are 4 legit elite quarterbacks that are going to become Hall of Famers, and we'll get to them. But just based on one season, do I think Jayden is a superstar? I mean, the dude had probably the best rookie season. Like, true rookie season. Obviously, Mahomes' first year starting was probably the best season you'll ever see. But, I mean, the dude was just so electric. Completely turned around the entire franchise and went to the championship game. So many great moments from him this season. He is a dual threat, extremely dynamic. I mean, I'm just glazing him at this point, but I just don't feel right putting Jayden Daniels in the same category as Baker and Jordan Love and Dak Prescott. So I'm going to move him up to superstar. And that's crazy because the next guy on this list, Jalen Hurts, I don't know if him... Eagles fans are going to kill me for this, but... I'm wearing a Chiefs shirt, so you're just gonna think I'm bitter, and that's fine. But genuinely, I'm trying to look at this objectively, not just because I'm mad we got beat by him in the Super Bowl. I think overall, Jalen Hurts, top 6 quarterback in the NFL for sure, maybe top 5. I don't know. If I was starting a franchise where I didn't have a super team around me, but I just need to pick one guy as my QB, do I go Jalen Hurts, who yes has a ring and has been to 2 Super Bowls? Or do I go Jayden Daniels? It's very tempting. And there are a lot of people that will agree with me. Jalen Hurts is not a superstar. Yes, he's won a ring, but the guy's had a super team around him this past season. The best running back in the league, probably the best wide receiver duo in the league, the best offensive line, one of the best defenses, one of the best coaching staffs, both offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. So it's tough to say it was all Jalen Hurts. Now, Jalen Hurts, really, really good in the playoffs. Very clutch. An elite game manager, and awesome on the ground as well. You know, just so Eagles fans don't kill me, I'll put him at the bottom of superstar. But I'm going to be honest. I don't know. I have high hopes for Jayden Daniels. And I think if I had to start a franchise with one of those guys, I am picking Jayden Daniels. I'm sorry. Anyways, let's move on before I just have too many people chirping at me. Russell Wilson. A lot of people are going to ask, why is he starting? However, I think the last 2 years... he's been hated on a little bit too much. I think he did fine with the Steelers, and I also think he did fine in 2023 with the Broncos. He had one disastrous season in 2022, but overall, I think he's hanging on for dear life as a starter, but I'm not mad that he's a starter somewhere. He's a starter with the Giants. I don't think I mentioned that. So, will he be the starter by the end of the season? Not too sure about that. But I don't know if I'm going to put him in why is he starting. I think I'll put him in meh. I think he's a meh starter at this point in his career. But I don't want to disrespect Russ too much because he hasn't been that bad the last 2 years. All right, Brock Purdy. Another guy like Hurts where you got to give him the respect for going to the Super Bowl. And I like Brock Purdy. Now, Hurts is obviously much better than Brock Purdy. But right now I'm deciding between very good and decent. He just got paid a ton this offseason. I'll put him at the bottom of very good. I think that this is a guy where if everything is going great around him, kind of like Dak Prescott, he's going to follow that path. He's going to have a good season. Overall, like if you plop Brock Purdy on the Giants, let's say, I just don't think he's having that good of a season. I don't think they should have paid him as much as they did, even though they didn't pay him a ton, which is fine. But I mean, overall, I like Brock Purdy. He's a top 15 guy, 100%. So I will stick him towards the bottom of very good. Sam Darnold, I'll put decent. I can't put him at very good just because he had a very good season last year. It almost seems like it's probably going to be a one-hit wonder now. He has the tools in Seattle to keep up a nice career, and I don't think he's as bad as he was on the Jets or the Panthers, and I do think he's going to be a starter at least for the next couple of years. But to overreact to the season he had in Minnesota, you know, I don't want to do that. So I'm going to actually just put him in decent for now. And he's got to give me another year or two to really prove that he is a top 12, 15 quarterback in the NFL. All right, Kyler Murray. Ooh, this one's really interesting. It's funny because when you think of Kyler Murray, you might think of him as inconsistent. But I went back and looked at all the seasons where he's fully healthy. The stats are around pretty much the same. So when fully healthy, he is actually pretty consistent. He has an elite run ability. He has some elite traits is what I'm trying to say. But overall, he hasn't just been able to put it together in one full season. He hasn't won a playoff game yet. He had the one season in 2021 where they started like 8-0 and you felt like maybe he's going to go out and win MVP. Then kind of had the second half of the season collapse. And since then, he hasn't been healthy, but I like Kyler. He's top 15 for me, but do I put him in very good? I think he just hasn't stayed healthy enough for me to say that just yet. So even though I think he has a lot of really, really good traits and he has great moments, I think I'm going to put him above Sam Darnold for sure, but not quite in that like top 10, top 12 tier where the very good is. Sorry. Matthew Stafford. Very good for sure. I'm going to put him above all these guys up here right now. I think, I wouldn't hate it if you put Stafford in like your top 7 quarterbacks in the NFL, top 8. I'd probably have him around 8, but you just got to give the guy the respect. I mean, he was banged up in 2022 after the Super Bowl, but the last 2 seasons at near 40 years old, he has stayed healthy. They've made the playoffs. They won a playoff game last year. He has looked really good. He's got the no-look passes. He has a high-flying offense. Obviously, after he won a ring, you got to give him that respect. But the fact that he sustained it as he's getting older, and honestly, the Rams, kind of like the Bucs, they're one of those teams where look out for them this year, and Matt Stafford's a big part of this. So could totally see him taking the team with Sean McVay and that offense to a championship game possibly. And, Matt Stafford, definitely a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. So I'm going to put him at the top of very good. Cam Ward, obviously too early to tell, but if I'm ranking him against Tyler Shuck, obviously I'm going to put the guy who went first overall, and I think genuinely is the better quarterback prospect ahead of him. So there you go. If you guys are paying attention to that tier, I guess I believe Cam Ward's better than Tyler Shuck. All right, CJ Stroud. Also very good. Now, this is a guy kind of like with Jaden Daniels that I had really, really high hopes for. I'll put him above Baker. I think his ceiling is going to be higher than Baker's. But, I thought he was going to have a phenomenal second year. Now, I'm one of those guys where I'm a Stroud truther in that I don't think it was fully his fault last year. The offensive line was just a complete and utter mess. So that was the reason he kind of had a sophomore slump. Still went out and won a playoff game last year. He's got 2 playoff wins under his belt in his first 2 years. So got to give him that. Plus, there were a lot of wide receiver injuries last year. So any Texans fans watching, don't worry. I still think CJ Stroud's for sure a top 10 quarterback, and I think he's going to have a bounce back next season. Is he going to bounce back to where he was his rookie year? I'm not sure yet because the offensive line wasn't fully solved. For sure, very good tier. I got high hopes for CJ Stroud, so we'll see. All right, Trevor Lawrence. I'll go decent. And he's right around that Sam Darnold range, probably like top 15 to 20. Not fully his fault, although I will give him more of the fault than I would a CJ Stroud for the last 2 seasons. Now, a lot of people forget, in 2023, they started the season 8-3 and then ended 9-8, missed the playoffs. But there were, the second half of 22 and the first half of 23, Trevor Lawrence was looking like the guy that you finally wanted him to be. And last year was just about as disappointing as any season. I think the Jags are going to have a small bounce back this year. Trevor Lawrence's career has just been a little bit disappointing so far, so I can't put him in very good, and I'm just going to stick him in decent for now. Joe Burrow, I mean, this one's obvious. He's got to go in superstar. I'll put him ahead of Jaden Daniels for sure. He's been in the league now for 5 seasons, made a Super Bowl, made another championship game. Even though, yes, he missed the playoffs, he probably could have won MVP if they really wanted to last year. He was absolutely carrying that offense. And yeah, he's one of the big 4 coming out of the season, which, with those 4 guys, you can absolutely go out and not be worried. Even though the Bengals did miss the playoffs. I mean, Joe Burrow, I know Eagles fans are going to like this. They're probably going to want to put Hurts above, but you got to give Joe Burrow his respect. I mean, easily a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. One of the best guys in there. All right. Lamar Jackson, once again, also superstar. I'll put him right ahead of Joe Burrow. So there you go. If you guys are wondering between those two, I would pick Lamar right now, even though I love Joe Burrow. Not much explanation as well. Lamar's a superstar. Next, here we go. Okay, this has Joe Flacco on it. So this tier list assumes that Joe Flacco is going to be the starting quarterback for the Browns. I'll put him in YZ starting just because I don't have anybody else in that tier right now. He still is one of the best backup quarterbacks in the NFL, but the Browns, who knows? by September, what is it, September 7th? Is that opening Sunday? Yeah, who knows by September 7th who's actually going to be the starting quarterback for the Browns. But regardless, I feel like they're pretty low, kind of like the Saints, and they're just screwed this season. Anyways, let's move on. Patrick Mahomes, I mean, regardless if I'm wearing a Chiefs shirt or not, pretty sure everybody would agree, superstar, and most people would put him as the best quarterback in the NFL, which, of course, I'm going to go ahead and do that. No explanation needed. It's Patrick Mahomes. Justin Herbert. I will go very good. I will actually put him just behind Matthew Stafford. Now, if you truly ask me, you know, at this point in time, with Stafford being 40 and Herbert being in his 20s, who would I start a franchise with? Obviously, I'm going to pick Herbert. But just for the 2025 season, I think it's close. And, you know, I wouldn't hate you putting Herbert above Stafford. But listen, Herbert's great. He's got great arm talent. Probably one of the most beautiful spirals you'll ever see. He's big. He's fast. He only threw 3 interceptions last year. I think he's actually only had 10 interceptions combined in the last 2 seasons, which is great. Made the playoffs last year, but speaking of, this guy can't fucking win in the playoffs. And it's starting to piss me off because there's no more excuses for him. I mean, he's going into his 6th season. He's got Jim Harbaugh as his coach. He's got a good receiving core now. Decent offensive line, especially with Becton now on the team. He's got to do something more. He's got to go out and win a playoff game for him to keep up this status that everybody's putting him on. I'm done with the podium. I'm still going to put him in the top 10, but this is pretty much his last chance to prove himself as the guy that he was supposed to be coming out of the 2021 season. In 2021, he had over 5,000 yards passing. Still missed the playoffs, which that's the most Charger stat ever. But the dude's got to prove a little bit more this season because, yeah, he can't keep getting away with this. He's still top 10, but come on, Justin Herbert, lock in. Geno Smith, decent. I still have a little bit more hope for Trevor Lawrence to be better. So I will actually put Geno behind Trevor Lawrence because I think we've seen Geno's ceiling. He's going to bring stability to the Raiders this year, but this is Geno's peak. He's going to go out there, throw for 26 touchdowns, 10 picks, 4,000 yards, and maybe make the playoffs. And that's pretty much the ceiling at this point. So I think it's fair to put Geno in decent. Bo Nix, I will also put in decent with the caveat that I think he can move up to very good this season. And it pains me to say it as a Chiefs fan. Now, I'm not going out there and being like, I'm a huge believer, and I think he's going to be insane for the rest of his career, and he's elite, whatever. But I do think that he showed last year, definitely proved it. I think he had like 29 touchdowns and obviously made the playoffs with the Broncos. So, you know, Bo Nix, I wasn't expecting it going into last season, but he really proved himself as already off the bat a pretty solid quarterback. So, yeah, I'll put him in decent. Okay, this is going to be our last elite quarterback, which is Josh Allen. Pretty obvious as well. If you guys are wondering my top 5, there it is. In order, Mahomes, Josh Allen in second, Lamar, Burrow, Jaden Daniels, and then I'm only putting Hurts up there because I have to give him his respect, and I don't want to hear it from Eagles fans, but he's 6th place for me. So there you go. Yes, I do think Josh Allen is just slightly above Lamar Jackson, and really for me, the thing that does it is his playoff performances. He is the only guy that has really every single time gone toe-to-toe against Mahomes and has played with a baseline of at least being above average. So you got to give the respect to Josh Allen. If the Chiefs didn't have Mahomes as their quarterback and I would choose the next person to be our quarterback, it would 100% be Josh Allen. So, yeah, won MVP last year in the championship game. That's all that needs to be said. All right, Drake May. I'll go meh, but kind of like with Michael Penix, I do like Drake May. Now, if you just go look up the stats, they're not going to do you any well. I think he had like 2,500 yards and 15 touchdowns. But the actual eye test, it finally feels like the Patriots are going to have some stability for the team finally. You know, definitely better than Mac Jones, I'm going to say. Do I think he's this world beater? I'm not sure. Underrated in the ground game for Drake May as well. But for now, I'll go meh with the potential of being decent to very good next year. All right, Tua, if I have Brock Purdy in very good, I feel like I kind of have to put Tua in very good. But the guy just doesn't stay healthy. So I'm going to actually put Tua. It pains me to say it because I like the Dolphins. But in 2025, I'm going to go top of decent for Tua. Even though in 2023, he was a really, really good quarterback. But that's because everything was going great. Everybody was healthy. Tyreek Hill was in his prime. Now it feels like maybe he's not going to be. I think if everything goes well and he's healthy this season, Tua's going to move back up to very good. So he's like right there with Brock Purdy for me. But honestly, the dude just keeps getting concussions and I can't put him any higher. All right, Justin Fields. I'll go top of meh for Justin Fields. I think the dude gets hated on way too much. I didn't like that they pulled him so early in Pittsburgh. I think they were like 4-2 with him. Obviously great in the run game, needs to upgrade his passing a little bit, but I can't put him any higher just because he's on the Jets this year, and I don't think it's his fault, but I don't see him really succeeding too much. I don't think he's gonna have a bad season, but overall, yeah, I feel like I kind of just have to go mad with Justin Fields, as I do with Bryce Young as well. Now I'll give Justin Fields a little more respect than Bryce Young. I have big hopes for Bryce Young this season. I hope he makes that next leap up, especially with Dave Canales in his second season. They got Ted McMillan. They have a good running game. So overall, I think that's going to help Bryce a lot. I can't really put Bryce higher than Meh right now just because he literally got benched last year. And yes, even though he came back and looked much better, we still need to see a little bit more from Bryce Young. So for now, I'll go Meh. All right, Jared Goff. 100% he's going in very good. I'm going to put him, he's like tied with Baker, basically. If you want to do the top 10, it's like him or Baker at 10. Whatever you choose. I'll put him right behind Baker just because I have more fun personally watching Baker as a quarterback, and I like Baker slightly better. But it's really your choice, and I think it's kind of the same. Completely turned around the Lions, or at least he helped become a part of that turnaround. Very, very solid the last 2 seasons especially. And yeah, I think like a lot of these guys on this tier, if things are going well around you, you're going to be a really good quarterback as well and have a chance to get to the Super Bowl. So yeah, Jared Goff, very good. JJ McCarthy, too early to tell. I do think he's going to be better than both of these guys, and Cam Ward and Chuck. So I'll put him at the top. Vikings fans, I think you guys have a lot to be excited about, but obviously can't really rank them fairly right now. I have Richardson and Daniel Jones here for the Colts, but regardless, I think both of them are going to be why is he starting, because in general, the Colts staff is probably going to be fired this year unless Daniel Jones starts and maybe has a Sam Darnold type arc this year. I don't know if there's one guy that could do it. Maybe it's him, but overall, I think the Colts quarterback situation right now is just not looking good. So overall, I'm just going to put both of them in that tier. Aaron Rodgers, I'll put in decent. I think the haters will probably put him in meh, and the lovers will still put him in very good somehow. I'm not that high. Although I think the hate's deserved because they had high hopes going into 2024 and they ended 5-12. But you go and watch Aaron Rodgers. Yes, he was not clutch last year, and yes, he was kind of an asshole to his teammates. But overall, he still had some moments, especially when he got healthier towards the end of the season, where he showed that he still has a little bit of that spark in him. So does he have enough in the tank to take the Steelers to the playoffs this year? We'll see. But overall, I think it's fair enough to still put him in that decent tier, because he still had his moments. So. And there you go. There is our quarterback tier list. I'll read it off one last time. Superstar tier list. This is our top 6. I'm going to go with Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, and Jalen Hurts. The very good tier is Stafford, Justin Herbert, Stroud, Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, Jordan Love, Dak Prescott, and Brock Purdy. The decent is Tua, Kyler Murray, Sam Darnold, Bo Nix, Trevor Lawrence, Geno Smith, and Aaron Rodgers. Meh is going to be Justin Fields, Bryce Young, Michael Penix, Drake May, Caleb Williams, Russell Wilson. Obviously, a few of those guys could move up this season. And then why is he starting? Joe Flacco, and then whatever the Colts are putting out there. And then finally, too early to tell, JJ McCarthy, Cam Ward, and Tyler Shuck. There you go, guys. That's the full quarterback tier list. Remember to drop a like and subscribe and comment down below how I did and what you would change about this ranking. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll be back for next video. Take care. Goodbye.